Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's call our meeting to order, please. Oops, I'll get that on.
Gotta press hard.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. We'll call the meeting to order. Chris, would you do the roll, please?
Yana Carlson,
Here.
Todd Lavieri.
Here.
Michael Chen,
Here.
Chris Labrise is here, Victor Alvarez.
Here.
Maria Weingarten,
Here.
Bob Hamel,
Here.
Colin Dobbin,
Here.
James Yao. Absent. Nick Matrakis,
Here.
Jan Schaefer. Absent. Steve Doka.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We need to seat for James.
James, we can seat
Hmm,
Nick, or we can seat Steve.
Steve.
yeah,
First. Those are the two alternates.
take your pick.
I think we should go with Nick.
Don't you have to seat the same?
Party
Oh,
if we
same party,
have,
yeah, of
but
course.
we
Yeah,
don't.
that's right.
You do. At
You
the
do.
same party.
He's new.
Yeah, he's same party, so.
Oh, yes, we do. So we should seat.
Right into it, Steve.
Okay,
First meeting.
so I'll
here.
make a motion to seat Steve Doka to replace James Young.
Second,
Second.
Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, opposed? So moved. Chris did. Chris did. Okay. Before we get to.
Huh.
There we go. It's okay, try to move it. No, leave it.
They're all here.
Okay, the gang's all here.
Okay, next on the agenda, election of both the chair and the secretary.
We open for nominations or?
Deanna's running, so go ahead.
Sorry, sorry. I
wanna jump all over.
You're ready to go.
I know who I want.
We do need to add to the agenda. I apologize. This version doesn't have the election of the secretary on it, so I do need a motion to modify the agenda, please, to add the election of a secretary. Okay, Maria, second. Victor, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, none. So moved. We'll add that to the agenda.
All right,
Maureen?
thank you. Right, so it's that time of year again where we need to elect a chairman for this body. Do I have any nominations for the office of chair? Yes.
I would love to nominate Todd Lavieri. It's a big surprise. He's been a really collaborative and committed leader of the body. He's been a great steward of taxpayer funds. In fact, I sort of did a little analysis that was done for me, but I asked for it. Since Todd has been chair in 2018, funds raised by taxation have increased 1.6% a year. CPI inflation has been 3.8% a year. That may not sound like a big difference, but when you look at the cumulative difference, if we had raised taxation by the amount of CPI, we would have taxed people an additional $32 million. So it adds up that commitment from Todd to really, keep our belts tight has paid off for taxpayers. And during that time, frankly, our services, thanks to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Ed, Public Works, all the great bodies in town, I would argue they've gotten better. Schools have continued to rise in the ranks. Our roads are definitely better, at least to my eye. And, we've got a great town. So don't want to rock the boat. I'd like to nominate Todd if anybody has any other ideas.
Thank you.
No.
Good
Do I
luck.
have a second? Do I have any other nominations for the office of chair? Seeing.
Nominate Todd again. Can I do that? Second nomination for Todd.
There we go.
SAR and
All right.
XARC.
Yeah. All right. Seeing no further nominations, can I have a show of hands? All those in favor? It looks unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Comments. I tell everybody, I have an amazing committee. It is amazing what you all do every month, every year. You said 2018. I had to think twice about that. Holy cow. But it's been incredible. And you all have been phenomenal to work with. Great counsel, great support, great thinking, really great leadership. So I really have to share anything we've done as a group with all of you, and of course the Selectmen's office and town council and so forth. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Are you running the second
I
election?
am.
Okay.
And now if I could get nominations for the office of secretary.
I'd like to nominate Chris Labrie,
Yeah,
a
surprise,
very
surprise.
trusted, safe pair of hands.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any other nominations for the office of secretary? Seeing none, all those in favor of Chris Labrie for secretary? It's unanimous.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you
and
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Okay, two quick announcements before we get into the rest of the agenda. So we, a little change. Colm Dobbin has decided to step down, retire from our Board of Finance. He'd like to move to the town council. No, I'm kidding. He is moving to Florida, I understand. But we'll be, I think, having two residencies, if I understand it, both in Connecticut and Florida. So we will not be losing Colm, but he will not be able to continue on as a member of the Board of Finance, much to all of our disappointment. You're a very good partner, a great counsel. I appreciate it. I believe you have over 20 years of service into the town. Is that about right?
That's right. I was on the Wetlands Commission for about 15 years or more before joining Board of Finance.
Thank you. Round of applause for that. I mean, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Todd. I've enjoyed working with you and with all the other members of the board. It's been a great pleasure, but I just can't do it as a Florida resident. So you'll have to go on without me.
Thank you. Well, appreciate that. And it was a tricky, I think you joined in 2020 or 2021 here?
Yeah, I'm somewhere around there.
Something like that. I mean, those were tricky times too. That was COVID, that was everything else. So deeply appreciate all that you've done all those years for everything, not just Board of Finance, of course. But thank you. And a second announcement, door closes, door opens. Welcome, Steve Doka. Steve, welcome, round of applause. Steve joins us from, he's an executive at Deutsche Bank. His experience is unbelievable, actually. Global internal audit, financial investigations executive. I really want to hear some stories. I'm sure you've got very good ones. I'm sure you have a few. Long career, Deloitte, Pricewaterhouse, audit, financial crimes investigations, audit investigations, global operations, very analytical, very thoughtful. And I think you'll be a tremendous member of the team. We appreciate it. And you're joining at the right time. We're going to go right into budget season. So, and hopefully we'll have no financial investigations. So, but thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Welcome. Welcome very much. Okay. Next on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Give a motion to approve the minutes from the November 12th meeting. Someone? Maria? Second? James? All right. All in favor? Aye, opposed, none? Okay. Okay, so next on the agenda, I'd like to invite Cheryl up, and I believe we have an attorney online. There are two. This is to review and to decide on whether we approve or not a disability pension for David Rivera. So with that, what I'd like to do, I'm sorry, I don't have the two attorneys' names.
Chris Hodgson.
Janice and Attorney Chris Hodson.
Yeah, okay, so maybe a question for Attorney Bochanis. If you concur, we normally do HR matters in executive session. If that's something that's okay with you, we could move into executive session to do this, have this discussion.
Correct. I would request executive session.
You would? Okay, very good. With that, then, we need to think about who to invite. We'll have our Board of Finance, Cheryl, the two attorneys. Yeah, and then we'll have to ask Ann. Okay, Tucker, not Josh. Ann is on the pension committee, so Josh, not Ken. Officer, you'll have to ask you to step out. Yep, have to step out. So I need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second. Maria, all in favor of moving to executive session? Aye. Opposed, none? Okay, so move, Tucker. Yep.
Should tell the people.
Are there people out?
Yeah, and we should tell people outside we're back out of executive session.
And for voting purposes, James, you're not, Steve is seated.
Because you came late, we seated Steve.
Okay.
For you, so you're alternate.
Yes. James on there.
Okay, out of executive session, Tucker? We're good? Okay. All right, I'd like to know if anyone's prepared to make a motion on the matter in front of us as it relates to the pension committee appeal.
I'll move.
Rob, second?
Second.
Victor? Let's have a motion. Go ahead, you can read it.
Okay, we move that Mr. Rivera's application for disability pension be denied based on Mr. Rivera using his New Canaan police badge to illegally purchase and or possess explosives and a long gun, which resulted in his conviction of several felonies, burglary 3rd degree, malicious wound kill animal 1st degree, possession of explosives and illegal purchase long gun, along with 2 misdemeanors, criminal mischief 3rd degree, and reckless endangerment 1st degree. Mr. Rivera committed acts of fraud and dishonesty towards the town while employed by the town, resulting in forfeiture of his pension benefits under section 16.5 of the funded retirement plan of the town of New Canaan, which provides that a participant who commits any act of fraud or act of dishonesty towards the town while employed by the town may forfeit his pension benefits.
We need a vote on the motion.
In a second.
Okay, I need a motion. That's what motion is here. Second? Steve, all in favor of the motion as read by secretary? Opposed? Okay, unanimous. Attorney Pachanas, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate your input on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cheryl, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next item in the agenda. Rich is here to give us an update. He missed update November, so now you're doing update in December here for Cinema Lab. And is Luke on or not? Okay. So nothing formal. We just wanted to know how you were doing and how's it going. And I think December must be, as they say, the December to remember. I mean, between Wicked and Moana and everything else going on. So how are we doing?
You got the story.
Okay, let's go.
You got the story. Well, thank you for giving us a little bit of time to come talk.
Yeah.
And maybe I should just introduce who I am in this meeting right now.
Good idea.
Because we've had a little bit of organizational change, et cetera. Cinema Lab, as everybody knows, I think, is the headquarter company effectively for 3 different theaters, one of which is the Playhouse, and the Playhouse is the newest one. There's 3 of us within New Canaan that act as a board of directors for Cinema Lab. We were asked to do that after being investors within the Playhouse when it was going forward, and they found us somewhat helpful and asked us if we would be willing to advise them. It is quite frankly not actually a formal board, but it's treated that way. And so what I am is there were really 3 people that started Cinema Lab that are with it today. And that is Luke, right? Luke Parker Bowles. It is Brandon Jones. And it was Andy Childs. Andy Childs was a CFO. And as we went through this summer, it became obvious that he needed to not be the CFO. He was not working full-time on the job, and everyone that was affected by it saw that, right? I mean, we haven't sent financials out to our investors, and I don't think in 3 years. And that just is not appropriate, quite frankly. And he was just not capable of keeping up with the workload and didn't hire anybody to actually do it for him. So it was just that kind of thing. And his choice was to go because he wanted to do something different. So as a result, everybody looked around and everybody looked at their shoes except me. And so I got elected to now be the CFO. So I'm working
Congratulations.
as the CFO, which I never dreamt this would happen again, but that's just the way it is. But so that's how it's sitting. Yeah, this is a beautiful retirement. Thank you very much, Deanna. It has been really a wonderful experience for Playhouse. And we'll talk about the industry to begin with, just to give everybody a little background on it. Is this year has been a very hard year for the movie industry because of the writer's strike. And so the whole first half of the year did not have really any decent movies. And we weren't open, so it probably didn't affect us that much, although we had no revenue as opposed to a little. But as it got into the fall, October was not that good. September was pretty good. And November and December are absolutely dynamite, absolutely dynamite. And I would tell you that through the opening, the Playhouse has done very well. We had some personnel hiccups. We've got things we need to learn how to do better communications, better coordination. What hours do we really run? What don't we run? And we'll, of course, address that as we go through this. We have an advisory committee that we meet with from the town. And we've actually had, I believe it's 2 meetings now with them. But they look at the selections of the movie with Brandon, taking them through. Here's what's going to be probably coming up over the next year. What do you guys think we should be showing? And those kind of discussions have yielded stuff like, we showed Moana and we showed Wicked, right? And with those 2 movies, we filled 2 movie houses over Thanksgiving full. The house has never been so full. All of the movies were sold out for Friday and Saturday. And so you just can't get any better than that. And not only that, but in addition, what's really started to happen is people are using the full facility, the pub, the restaurant capability of it, the club upstairs, and people are stopping in and having a drink, and it is really working out great. I think it's really becoming a center for the town, and we're very enthusiastic about the sidewalk change in front of the theater that just got completed, and that is terrific. That'll probably give us room for 8 or 9 more tables out front in the summer, and will really be helpful. But just to give you a little thought here, not everything was hunky dory going up to that. We had some fights with the town and everybody else, but we all got there. But just a few numbers. Even though Todd told me don't talk about numbers, but I'm the CFO. I got to talk about numbers.
I knew you would.
Yeah. So far this year, there's been 21,226 people come to the theater and buy tickets. So that's more than our population, I believe, or right on our population, which in 5 months, that's pretty darn good. 3,938 beers have been drawn.
3,900, say again, 3,938.
3,938.
How many are yours?
Well,
and the tubs of popcorn sold 7,785. So that's pretty good stuff. The really good news was we broke even in September, which was really much sooner than we thought we would break even without a Moana or a Wicked. That we broke even. And I think as we look forward, we expect to be a contributor from now on. We don't see it turning around. The movies coming out, as Brandon keeps very close look at them, and he refers to it as the box office. I've learned a lot of stuff here. He refers to it as the box office, and the box office going forward into next year is going to be about $9 billion. This year, it was a little bit less than that. It was like 8.8. And if you go back a ways, like 19 or 20 and skip the pandemic, we're back to about that level of the pandemic from a box office standpoint. But the thing that's interesting is there have just been a ton of theaters that have just gone upside down. I mean, the list of, multiple theater companies that own a lot of theaters, it's this long. If you look over the last 2 years, and every place just has empty theaters.
So why do you think you guys are successful versus these theaters?
Well, we're successful for 5 months so far, so I'm a little more skeptical, but it really
I'm
appears-
not skeptical. Sorry, Reg, I'm here. I'm watching you.
Hey, I didn't even see you up there. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. Reg, you're doing so well. Keep going.
Well, I think you sort of touched on one thing, though. There is the pub and the club and concessions in the box office. That is not the model, and I'm sure all the ones you just talked about. Yeah, I think you've got revenue streams that they don't. Yeah.
revenue streams that pump you up when the theater does not have a great movie, does not have a great selection of movies. We also have a bit of a disadvantage at our theater having only 2 screens. And it becomes very hard to balance movies. And again, I've learned a lot here, but there's a couple things you need in order to get a first run movie when it comes out. And we can get them here. And it's because of the guy behind us and Brandon, because they hit way above their weight in Hollywood. And we've got 3 theaters that really has, about 12 screens as opposed to just 2. And we benefit from that, but we need to be cognizant, and I really believe this, and it's one of the reasons I'm sitting here, is that if Cinema Lab is not successful and is not successful in actually growing what they're doing, because they're subscale at 3 theaters, they need to grow to about 6 or 8 theaters to be able to afford the kind of management that we have today, right? So we're kind of paying, and we're not actually paying our management, but we should be paying our management what is appropriate.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, we're not, don't hold your breath.
2026 can't come soon enough.
So we are now, the 3 of us from New Canaan actually are spending quite a bit of time with Cinema Lab and actually working on how to make it much more productive and how to get the right stuff done in the right time. And so we've added some things to Cinema Lab that will help across the board. Just as a random example, we haven't given any investment reports, right? Well, Andy and a half a person was the whole bookkeeping staff and financial staff, and actually was overseeing the construction here. And so we have since hired an external accounting firm that will be our accounting department, and they are in the process of taking over. And that will solve so many problems that it will be dramatic, at least for us. As we go and try and grow going forward, and our next project is right there in New Jersey. It's Bradley Beach. And we will not deal with it as we did in New Canaan. We learned a lot of stuff from New Canaan. We will have a construction manager that will keep track of it and make sure it's getting done on time and on budget. And we'll be glad to pay for that, right? And make it work that way. The other thing that we've added is we have hired a director of operations that is in charge of the 3 theaters we're running now, and they'll be in charge of the 6 or 8 theaters, right? How do you make them consistent? How do you make sure you're getting the most out of all of them, as opposed to every theater making it up with people that really don't have experience in it? And so we have an experienced exhibition person that matter of fact, came on board as a full-time person this week. They have been a consultant for us for the past 4 or 5 months, so we're very familiar with them, and we're very happy with what he's able to do. But we're really fixing that. And I didn't mean to get into discussing that, quite frankly, at this point in time. But if we take a look, one of the things that is really important to us is the Playhouse is the model. The Playhouse is partway to showing that it really is a good model and it really works. The revenue that comes in per person that steps through the door is really a lot higher than it is in a normal theater. And if you take a look at how much revenue comes in for just movies versus the other streams we have, it's 20 to 25%. So it is not a lot, but it is what brings everybody in. I would tell you that for the fourth quarter here, I said I wouldn't talk about numbers, but we're nip and tuck with doing $1 million of revenue in 6 months, which is really pretty astounding, given we've only really had about 6 weeks of good movies by the end of the year.
That includes August, when I'm sure it was empty.
Huh?
Wow.
No, that's right.
Yeah,
It-
that's
It was
amazing.
empty. Exactly, exactly. Now, the profit didn't get there until September because we had too much personnel. We had the wrong personnel in the wrong place, and it costs a little bit of money to turn that over. But the customers, as I said before, the customers are really using the multiple services. And that's working out very well. And the other thing that I think is really good, it's really works in our community, is the community engagement that we have on the different films we showed. Claire Ayub's film of Empire Waste. It was terrific, right? And quite frankly, it ended up that she opened that film in our theater. That was her premiere in the US. And she ended up getting many more screens as a result of that opening in our theater, which was pretty nice. And then I don't know how many people saw it, but Theo Agerino did Rising Hope, which was a story about, I think it was Mississippi, right? And a documentary. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that thing in the Oscars. I mean, we very well could. And that kind of thing, if we can keep that rolling as we are, and that's Brendan's job. Brendan's job is to make sure we've got programs like that that really match our town. And so to us, the Playhouse is the model. Somebody says, "What are you guys doing?" Go to the Playhouse. See, this is what we're doing. Now, can we make it bigger someplace else that might make more money? Yeah, we could do a little better, I think, with 3 or 4 screens. We'll never have 3 or 4 screens here, but we could do it someplace else that way. So we're just very, very happy with how it's going forward. And as you look into next year, I mean, I would be really surprised if we don't, if we aren't up in the $2 million range by the time we get through the end of next year. The movies are supposed to be better next year than they are this year. We'll see as that rolls forward. Hopefully our organization will be a little bit more, we're trying to turn a hockey game into a ballet in this.
Okay, go easy, Townsend. It's not that bad.
And we still got a lot of people with pads on.
Luke, anything you'd like to add? That great update, Rich. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
terrific.
no,
Question. Oh, wait till he's done.
oh, sorry. No, it won't be long. I know it's usually long. But without Rich and Paul Osling and Nick Howard, I promise you we would not be in the position that we are in today. The institutional knowledge, the systems that they've helped us put in place, it's truly the man in front of you is keeping the Playhouse going in the way that we've all hoped. And we're very, very lucky. So that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you. It's a great product. I mean, let's be honest, the theater's wonderful, the pub is wonderful, the club. I mean, it's really a terrific product. You nailed it. And so I'm glad the movies are cooperating, right? You're getting good films to have.
I can't believe how important that is.
Yeah, I mean, that's of course.
You're watching Cash and you don't have when you're watching Cash and you don't have a good movie, you say, how am I going to do payroll?
Someone said did we have the highest number of people attend a movie ever? Did I hear that somewhere? And that the theaters must be bigger than they ever were, because I'm sure we've been sold out before. The most seats or something like that.
Well, in our theater,
Yeah,
when we filled it over Thanksgiving, it's never been that full.
that's what it was, something like
Yeah,
that, for a weekend or something.
No, I think it's the building, the building, the
To the
building.
records that they could pull back.
Yeah.
This is the way it came out. It sounded like the world in general.
No, just the town. Go ahead, Luke.
2 weeks ago, sorry, the statistic is 2 weeks ago, there were the Playhouse had its biggest viewership in the history of that building being around. So
That's what the question was,
Yeah,
until
that
Chris became ridiculous about it.
sorry.
All right, you have a question?
Yeah, Rich, are you the CFO for all of Cinema Labs or just New Canaan?
No, all of Cinema Labs.
Okay,
All of Cinema. I've actually visited some other theaters as well.
okay.
I had to go to New Jersey.
Lucky you.
We're sorry.
Well, thank you. For
No,
your
any other
time.
questions?
Any
for
other
Rich?
questions?
What's the feedback? Feedback from, you represent a whole demographic here with real estate and with,
I mean, I think it's great. I think, to the point everybody's making about it, you have to have different ways to skin the cat.
Right.
And you have to know, that that's the way you're going to make the money, because it's a very hard business otherwise. So I think it's terrific. And I think it's really added a lot of value to our community.
any other questions?
Yeah, I had a great experience with my wife. I think it was Saturday, Friday night there. The pub. I didn't go see them in the pub. It was packed, and it was a way like they were like, "When are you going to give me a seat?" Because it was packed. So I think the pub is a huge success story, because we were watching it, and other parents were like drinking at the pub, and they're leaving the kids over there at the other side of the
Brilliant.
theater, which is a
On
brilliant
TV.
idea to do that. And
We are live.
Yes. So my question is, what percentage of the pub's revenue? Like that must be a big part, right, of the overall.
Before they drove home.
Rumor has it
Please, I don't mind.
The Guinness is getting high reviews.
Too small, Luke. That's the thing. I shake my head. It's packed every time I walk by, and I have to think, dang.
Because I think they have the parents go here and the kids go there.
Did you see the stroll? Like everyone
Yeah.
going in there getting popcorn, walking down the street
Yeah.
with.
Popcorn.
Anyway, anything else, Rich?
I can tell you what it was for the first, for the third quarter. $77,000 out of 475,000 was alcohol alone.
About 20%. Yeah, close to 20%.
Yeah, well,
That's great.
anyway. Thank you very much. Hopefully you have a great,
Thank you. I'll
Great
tell you,
2025.
The town has been terrific on the
Yeah,
whole thing.
Amazing, amazing.
The town has been great. Terrific.
Happy to do it.
supportive.
Happy-
So, and thank you for having me.
absolutely. Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations.
Luke, thank you so much.
Thank you for all your support. We got to do the test case in the greatest town in America. I say that to every town we talk to, but you are the greatest town. Thank
Luckily,
you.
he doesn't talk to that many towns.
Well, you delivered a great product for us. Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Take
you,
care. Okay. Now for why we're really here, audit report, financial updates. All right.
Good evening.
Hello.
So we are going in front of the town council tomorrow for the final vote on this document to file by the appropriate deadline, which is by December 31st. So some of the summaries of the actual government, and I should state with anyone who's gone through this exciting document, there's three different types of reporting. There's budgetary, modified accrual, and full accrual for AFR, and that's required statements that we do. In front of you is what we did based on full accrual. So our net position went up $7.8 million. And it's actually quite complex, but I'll tell you that the bulk of it, we had 2.8 that increased based on fund balance activity between our governmental funds. And then the bringing it to full accrual is getting involved in our pension, OPEB liabilities, inflow, outflows, depreciation. And it also, it brings in the state expense revenue, it's the same number for OPEB and pension for the teachers. So sometimes people look at the schedule and go, why did it look like the Board of Ed's expenditures are, 16 million above what we actually approved? It's because that includes, that's a modified accrual, that includes the amount that the state pays on does on their actuarial for both of those, because that gets confusing when you see that number in there. So from the governmental side, like I said, we went up 7.8 million. That's 2.8 in fund balance activity, and then all the differentials between the pension, OPEB, depreciation activity that goes in there, and the change of debt service, change of debt. The next schedule, and if you need to know what pages they relate to, I'm more than happy to just tell you. So if you want to, interesting reading over the weekend, I can send you a list of where it is. The next change is in terms of our revenue and expenditures. Again, this is on governmental wide, all our funds. We have about 20 odd funds. You can find this breakdown on page 16. So this will tell you the breakdown of all the different categories. Our program revenues are mainly our fees, obviously our taxes, and then our income from investments are the revenues. And then we break up throughout the whole report. Anything from our reporting is done by those categories on the right: general, public works, social service. Everything is categorized in that category. And as you can see with education, you can see it's $131 million in expenses. there's 16 and change million of state numbers in there for their pension and OPEB. That's up from 14 million from last year. So that's why it looks a bit weird, but this is on a full accrual basis. On the next page is our long-term debt. We went from 97, I'll just say the general debt, general obligation bonds. We went from 97.4 to 110.9. And that's, we didn't bond in 23, we bonded in 24. And we went out for about $27 million. And we had about 13 coming off. So that's the differential between the 97 up on top of the 110. We're still below our threshold that we have set from the debt service committee has set. So we're still below that debt. The notes are related to the Board of Ed, what's still left on Board of Ed leases that we do every year. That we go out for about $800,000. We go out for a lease on that. We're going to change this process next year. Reason being, we can get lower interest rates if we bond it. You know, we do it over the time period we need, but also it helps the Board of Ed. We don't normally go out until that budget is set in July 1st. They need the equipment right away. So they have to wait till we go out to bid. It really puts them behind the 8 ball there and trying to get all their equipment for the start of school. So if we do it from bonding, we'll save on the interest rate, and we'll also, they will be able to go out and get their equipment when those authorizations are done in April, May. So it's going to help them get their equipment sooner and not put so much pressure on them. So that will change, and those notes will eventually go away as we pay them down annually. The lease are the new subscription or GASB rules that we had to do, leases and subscriptions. We now have to track if they go past a year, certain leases, certain subscription software. It's a new GASB rule that we have to track those on our books. And the last one is going through more of a budgetary basis. So general funds, it's all our general funds. We went up about 3.3 million in that. The majority of that, I should say, on the general fund, which is what we mostly concentrate on, we had $6.3 million because we did a budget appropriation mid-year. We had 6.3 of what we were going to use as fund balance. We ended up only using it about 600. Let me see if I have that. It ended up being
like 598 or something.
Yeah, well, in total with the general, it was 926 that we used, that we pulled down out of that money. A couple of reasons for that. We did very well in revenue. So between the taxes that we do have money coming back in taxes, we had over 2 million in investment and unrealized realized gains that we had a good swing 2 years ago. It was pretty bad. And because we went out to bond, we recouped some of the money that we expenditures going out the door. We had a low fund balance in 23. We recouped about 3 million of that in the capital projects because we went out to bond between the expenditures. So that increased about 3.3. The proprietary funds are the Waveney pool with the asset, the Steve Benko pool. And then the town health and Board of Ed, if you remember last year, we combined them into one fund. We look to get rid of funds that really we don't need, and it's just another fund balance out there. So we combine that in, so they're funds, and I keep them separate in that fund. So at any time, I can tell you what fund balance belongs, of the fund balance, what belongs to the Board of Ed and what belongs to the town, because they're two separate buckets. So that's a snapshot of that document.
Yeah, sure. No, very good. Go ahead, Bob.
One question, just looking at this $40 million number.
Yeah.
It reminds me when we had that meeting with the rating agencies, and like they were having trouble with our $25 million fund balance, and we were kind of speaking past each other. I really would bet you that other towns are using that 40 million number. Remember, we were kind of skirting the edge of AAA.
We didn't
And
include
the
this.
city of Chicago somehow had this massive percentage fund balance, and it just didn't. But I feel as though we should
Probably
point the agencies to this number because it's.
You don't have, for instance, oh, maybe this under other government funds. So the deferred maintenance fund we have with the water treatment, I think we had a couple $1 million over there.
Yes.
When we started to say that to the rating agencies, and
And they're like, wow.
we kept adding more of the funds, but we weren't kind of quote counting them because we had a sort of,
We were looking at the general fund.
quasi
versus-
assign
it
them.
said
Bob's
all
right.
government.
We do need to have a,
They can
summary.
decide they want to just look at 25, but we should be showing.
We should have a summary
Yeah,
view.
and throw the other money that Todd just referenced in there too. Anyway,
Definitely. I'd open up for any questions.
Are we earning any money on the Waveney Pool Fund? Is that being invested at all? What's that? Don't tell me that's sitting in a 1% checking account.
It's pulled into our pool cash. No,
Okay.
It's,
In the, was it 10 point something percent general fund percentage that we had last year? And what is it now with the new number?
I think with the 25, it's going to be up at about 13, 14%
Oh, nice.
but if you look at this overall
overall. Yeah,
number
just from general fund, yeah.
in there, they may not.
They always, if you, what Moody's does is they go through, they rate us based on their criteria. And they do this for the state of Connecticut. They rate us on their criteria and then they change us because they know Connecticut is so dependent on property taxes, different than most other states, that they have to change it. So we actually wouldn't be on their rating. So they rate us up to what we do because we are based on it, and then New Canaan as a whole. So.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, so you have a vote tomorrow?
A vote tomorrow just to,
good
so we
luck.
can get it filed by the end of the year. And I should say, I should be remiss here by telling everyone, thank you for everybody who participated in putting this together, all the departments,
Yeah.
Deanna's support, the audit committee was great, PKF, a lot of testing. You'll be happy to hear it, as much as it frustrates you. It was a lot of testing on a lot of things, deeper dive into a lot of things. So it was a good experience.
But I think on time or even a little early.
Oh, we're definitely
You know,
early.
that's a great
Most others are
accomplishment.
still trying to scramble their MD&As
Great
right now.
accomplishment. Yeah, let's not
It's our
forget that.
process.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, let's do the financial update. And Josh, thanks for the summary and the summary write-up. Of course. I have some notes. Okay.
Okay, so in front of you and on your tablets, you just have the year-to-date financials as of November, or end of November. So just starting at the top with the overall revenues, we are currently at 55.7% or 94.6 million, up 3 million over last month. Obviously led the way by tax collections, which are at almost 55% of the year, falling pretty much on pace with how we were collecting last year. Down to building permits, we are at 65% of the 850,000 budget, so that's 454 over last year by about 37,000. Probably hopefully on pace as we're kind of going into the cooler months and then going to ramp back up as spring comes around. Conveyance fees of the 1.5 million budget, we're at 1.07, 71%. So we had a one large conveyance fee in the past month or so out of 170 some odd thousand, and that kind of threw us about 300,000 over where we were last year. Parking is at 77% of the 680,000 budget. Permits are kind of leveling off at about 475,000 of the 400,000 budget. Tickets are on pace to kind of meet where their budget is expected to be this year. Meters are kind of lagging behind slightly. Interest on investments are 950,000 of their $2 million budget, which is about 47%. Hereby also about 312,000. Tipping is doing pretty good at 43% of the budget, 181,000. Also up from last year by about 50,000. Any questions on the revenue side of things?
Yeah, I have a question. We're doing really great with tax collections, and I think I read in the audit that we're at 99.6%, which is really high compared to other municipalities. So is there something that we're doing that is creating such great performance, or is it just that New Canaan residents are really good at paying their taxes?
Well,
It's probably a combination of
combination
both.
and,
Yeah.
What is it that we do that makes that rate go up so high?
the ta-
Look at that. Virtuous circle. Brilliant.
properties,
You don't overtax people who actually pay the taxes.
most others, because she gets the taxes paid on time. A lot of other towns have to wait till maybe March, April, or May sometimes to put those liens on. She can actually get those liens on and done and processed by usually the end of February. So you capture things quicker when there's a lien on the property. Personal property, they stay on top of. That's a hard one to get. The cars are a little bit harder, but the real estate is the one that they stay on top of with the liens.
And who's doing that work to put the liens on?
The tax collector, they run, it's a report and through their system that they put it on with the town clerk, and the town clerk puts it on the records.
One sort of derivative of that conversation, I don't remember now, but I knew that we had a number when we went through this in COVID because there was a concern, but I think about 70% of our property taxes are paid in cash twice a year. People write 2 checks. It's a high number because a lot of towns, it's the inverse. Most towns escrow, people with a mortgage have an escrow that gets paid in monthly. The difference for us is we get 50% of our cash in July or August, so we can invest it. So that's where we have a very distinct advantage there in that regard, because now you can see what we've done from an interest income perspective. That's not a collection point, but it's a related point that we have that cash coming in early and it helps just to keep taxes.
Do we know what the leverage factor is on the housing stock in Canaan?
Not offhand.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Well, how much debt is on the total?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
He's asking about-
Because that goes to your escrow.
People don't have,
versus rent.
people, if they don't have a mortgage, they don't have debt on the house.
And they write a check and they come down.
We'd be able to work that out. She'd be able to know what properties came in by a mortgage payment versus they track it that way. So I could get that information if you needed it.
Yeah, it'd be
Well, if the
interesting
grand
to
list is
know.
worth 10 billion,
Yeah.
what's the debt on the 10
Yeah, what's
billion?
the
That's the
fixed point?
question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. Interesting.
Right, you did your tax sales too.
We're looking to do one. We haven't done it yet, so that'll come in. Yeah.
But it looks like all trends are good or even very good in a couple spots, right? Give a shout out, obviously, to conveyance fees. Parking is cyclical though, or seasonal, right? We get a little spike now and then.
Permits, I think were much better than they were last year, but
Okay.
still a little bit shy.
Where we were, yeah.
Hopefully that's trending back.
And Bob, any thoughts on interest income? I mean, we were thinking rates were coming down. They did a little, I guess, but.
Yeah, a lot of it, it's obviously part that, but part the flows of funds. Andrew would have to, it's good that we're ahead of last year and that we're basically, how many months? This is 5 months?
5, yeah.
So we're at 47% on 5 months. So it looks good, and he was budgeting more interest rate cuts than I think we're
That's
gonna
right.
have,
I think so.
because we're going to probably have one more next week, and then all bets are off. I see a world where there are no more cuts.
Any shout outs on the expense side?
Overall, we're at about 35%, 35.5. Last year, we were about 36% at this time. I don't think there's been that many big surprises this year. So hopefully all good. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it there.
I second, by the way, Todd, it's Andrew Brooks here. I'm on Zoom, but I second what Bob was saying before in terms of rate cuts being less than what we had anticipated when I modeled the $2 million budget figure. So I think that explains why we're on track to probably overperform that number by fiscal year end. Because I think we're anticipating only a 25 basis point cut coming up next, and then potentially, maybe 1 or 2 more in 2025, but those may not even happen before fiscal year end.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we have one transfer to approve.
Yes.
Wants to review anything?
There's not that many. There's only $4,261.70. Mostly
Okay.
just within departments, moving
Okay.
a little bit of money around. There is one to approve. This is for a BOE bonded capital item, kind of within the overarching school security 2023 project that they had. They had it broken down by school, and so they're moving money to South School from West High School and Saks from various projects that they had there to kind of finish funding off a fencing project within South. And so it's for a total of $31,200.
Any questions? If not, I give a motion to approve the transfer. Maria, second?
Second.
Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none? Okay. Budget, you've begun discussions. You want to give 1 minute on anything budget related discussions you've already had? Obviously, you're going to get a budget here pretty soon.
I don't have we've been
To
tallying
the-
how much we're
I think
going through
400,000 or
again.
so.
Excuse me?
Should I think?
400.
And we haven't even started.
And you guys haven't gotten it.
We haven't
and
gotten the budget
gotten
yet.
it.
All right,
Our
well, you
Board of
haven't gotten
Selectmen hasn't even gotten it yet.
That's very
So,
good.
You
All
know,
right.
everybody's sharpening their pencil and we're going line by line again every year, with every department and, you know, just having everybody take a really good look at what they really need. for
Okay.
next year, so.
And so you have yours, you get yours in the 12th of January?
7th.
7th of
we
January?
start,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
start on the 7th,
Very good.
so, And we, quite a few meetings and-
Okay.
How are you approaching it this year? Are you putting out a guideline?
So-
Or are you letting it roll up and bottom?
So we, and Todd and I talked about this, you know, a few months ago, but, you know, I kind of we gave broad guidance 0 to 3. I mean, not everyone can hit 0 or, you know, whatever. So we just kind of are, you know, taking a look department by department, because some have higher embedded costs and it's just harder. It's just harder to do that. And there are some departments that, you know, we're looking to make some, you know, cuts and so it really is department by department.
Zero-based budgeting, that's
Yeah,
done.
it is
It's been
zero-based
great
budgeting.
That's,
I had a conversation with one person who made a comment. I'm like, need to relook at that. That's not a zero-based budget. So,
Right way to do it.
yeah.
And we have a liaison meeting with the Board of Ed
Next week.
next week. Yep, okay, good. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll have a motion to adjourn. Colm, thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks, everybody.
You
Happy
can make a
holidays.
motion to adjourn. You got to make it. I'm asking, you know, okay.
Okay.
Motion second. All right, we have a second to adjourn or we can't leave. Okay, Chris. All in favor? Aye, opposed, none. So good, so moved.
Jeez, I'll wait.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you so much.